Great to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Many of us were at MIPCOM, not all of us, but some of us were at MIPCOM, and there was a big news announcement came out of MIPCOM all about ITV Studios launching a new digital label, Zoo55. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, sure. And I think it's been fascinating listening to the last couple of hours, and I think it was Stuart who amused me a little bit by talking about the old traditional telly world, and I've spent many an hour with Stuart talking about that traditional telly world, and listening to the TikTok, Snap, Twitch guys. You know, we are the big publisher. So it was fascinating seeing things through different lenses, but we are, and I think to take a step back, that is who ITV Studios is. You know, we have over 60 production companies in 13 markets, 90,000 hours of content in our catalogue, and have been working in that traditional TV landscape for a long time, very successfully. And I think when you look at that content, and my role is to lead the sort of commercial side of the studio's business, thinking about how we engage great audiences with our content, our great content, then how do you marry that up? So, for example, if you look at, The Voice is in over 150 markets. We've got 27 versions of Love Island and tape that goes around the world. We've got Hell's Kitchen in, I think, 196 markets. We've got a huge amount of global coverage. We've got all these audiences who are watching our great content. We work with content from around the world, back around the world. So that's a really good place to be. But then you really have to focus on what's happening with your audience. And we will all know, and most of you in this room will know far better than me, what's been happening with those audiences over time. And I'm sure Ampere told you a lot about it this morning. But the audiences have moved, and I think during the global pandemic, the audiences moved even faster and fragmented and are spending a lot more time in social and are engaging with content in different ways. So that, if you're me, begs the question, well, so what? So what does that mean for our business? Well, what it means is we've got to think about how we find those different audiences, how we take the great amount of content that we have and start publishing it into a new world with those new audiences.
Taking it to where they are, essentially.
And taking it to where they are.
Yeah.
So about 3-4 years ago, I think.
Yeah, three years ago.
Graham and I planted a tiny little seed around what we thought we needed to start doing for the future, which was, okay, we've got this great content, we need to find those audiences, how do we do it? So we started publishing our content. And we did it bit by bit and looked at different parts of our catalogue and, alongside our B2B business that's licensing to broadcasters and streamers around the world is, well, okay, but where are the bits where we can learn, test and learn and play? So fast forward that, and a few years later, we're sitting here with an incredible 140 owned and operated channels. We've got 18 all on social, I think, this year, and I can hold Graham's feet to the fire slightly on this. I think we're expecting around about 10 billion views across our portfolio in social at the end of the year. We've got 18 fast channels up and running with multiple feeds, and so now we're in over sort of 100 different feeds of those channels. We've got some fantastic games. The most notable that I'm sure you all know and love and are playing is the Love Island game. And have really grown a business. So you look at that and you say, wow, okay, at which point do we then give it wings?
Yeah.
And giving that team and that division that Graham's been running wings is the moment we're at. And that is how we've come up with Zoo55, to take it to that next level.
So talking about that next level, what is the opportunity then that you see for Zoo55?
So, again, the sort of stats that I'm sure you heard this morning and some of the ones that are firmly etched in my head. So, in the US, if 24% of all online video viewing is on YouTube, 21% is on Netflix, and then you've got a much smaller amount sitting in linear, I look at the overall business and go, wow, that's changed. So, who we're working with, licensing content to, and where our content should be has completely changed. So the opportunity for Zoo55 is to be in that social space. So whether that's all the social platforms that you've heard from today, I think particularly YouTube is important to us from the monetisation perspective and growing that scale. So I think what the opportunity is for us to take the huge amounts of IP we've got, and we already are doing with those channels that are up and running, and look at how we optimise our content for those audiences and learn more about the audience. And I think what I get really excited about, and I think Graham will touch on a bit later, but is the data that we will start to get. So I've been running a B2B business for a long time where we don't get first-hand data.
Well, that's a real fundamental change, isn't it, for this business? Because it is changing from B2B business to B2C. You're going direct to the consumer.
So I think that provides us with a really big opportunity. And the learning loop in the traditional world is, we are out in a market understanding what their audiences want to watch, and we're going B2B to their audience. And we've had that learning loop done really well for a long time in the traditional sense. But how do we get that learning loop within the studio's business in a digital sense? And that will be should be, she says, far easier and faster by getting that first-hand data. And what can that tell us, and how do we develop content? How do we find partners who can help us find that content and go into those audiences in different ways? So I'm really excited for us, and we've sort of, to bring a new area of the business, really propel it into what we know is the future and is moving so incredibly fast that we need to be there, and we need to be at the forefront of it, and we need to be thinking about who we partner with in this space to be able to sort of accelerate growth into that area for us as a business. I think there is a chap in this room who is either feeling very excited or very nervous, because we hired a managing director to run the business, which is Martin Tricky, who I know is lurking somewhere out there. There he is, I can see his hand. So you'll be sitting here next time, Martin.
I'll get the white jacket. I was going to say, this is like,
I know,
this is the uniform.
And the hand holding in the pictures. But yes, so we're very, very excited that Martin is joining us.
White trainers as well.
Yeah.
So
We'll get you the kit.
No, there aren't. That's the point. There are no limits.
So we're very excited that for us that journey starts, more wholeheartedly in January when Martin joins us and partners with Graham, who moves to be the COO of that business, and really gives us wings. I was trying to find some boating analogies earlier, but we're setting sail. I guess is
yeah, but that change, that speed of change. It really seems to have come front of mind to the whole industry, I think, in the last 12 months, certainly since the last Digital Content Forum. I think, that it's there's been fundamental change in those 12 months. So it seems to be accelerating.
I think there is, and I talk about with my sort of other more traditional hat on. I think there's been the free-to-air broadcasters, the commercial broadcasters. It's really daunting. They're running a big business of advertising, and you're seeing what's happening to your linear audiences, and you're seeing what people are moving to and what the advertisers are talking about. And I think there's a point at which you think, well, what is the moment of transition? And I think that's a bit easier for us on the B2B front. And I think from a studio's perspective, we were able to say, well, let's get ahead of that transition for most of our clients. And I think that's what's another good opportunity for Zoo55, is because many of our client base in our B2B world is making that transition, and we're actually helping them make it. So it enables us to have a business that can add more than just our sort of licensing capability to them. Yeah.
So tell us about the name. Where did the name come from?
Me at the Zoo was the first video uploaded onto YouTube in 2005. And 1955 was the first year that ITV was operational. So 50 years apart, I was trying to think to myself whether that's a long time or a short time, actually, to evolve those two things. It's actually probably not very long. Yeah. But we put those two iconic moments of history together to create Zoo55.
And in terms of Zoo55's role within ITV Studios, broader ITV Studios, how does it fit in with your overall strategy for the studios business?
So big part of our strategy, won't surprise you, is to grow. And I think, when you look at where the audiences are and what the growth opportunities are, it's very much about this space. And therefore it sits very much at the heart of what we're trying to do, which is diversify the business and make sure we're future-proofing for where our audiences are, learning more about them. As I said, we know subsets of audiences very well in some spaces, and this is one that we need to know a whole lot better and think about how we grow and build that business over time. So it's really sort of front and centre of what we're doing.
All right, fantastic. Well, I think you've brought a reel as well, haven't you?
A very little one to bring it to life a little bit.
Yeah. So can we play the Zoo55 reel, please?
Ready the vision mixers, sound mixers, cameramen, directors. Here we go.
The digital revolution is reaching new heights.
All right, so here we are in front of the elephants.
We continue to shape the future. ITV Studios brings you Zoo55, the home of digital entertainment.
Welcome to Hell's Kitchen.
We are unstoppable on YouTube. New brands, iconic shows, timeless moments. Watched, rewatched, shared. We bring brands to a global audience with free ad-supported channels, streaming 24/7.
I shall astonish you all. Get the cat out of the kitchen.
This is only the beginning. We engage across all social platforms. And we team up with industry leaders. We turn players into superfans, one game at a time. We lead the charge in digital innovation.
This is the thing that they've been the most excited for in all of my career.
Entertainment reimagined across every platform.
This is going to be fun.
Zoo55 by ITV Studios. Evolving entertainment.
So Graham, bringing you in, lots of recognisable brands obviously there, but lots of big numbers as well. Tell us a little bit about what we've just seen over the last minute or so.
I hadn't noticed before. I love the fact that digital innovation was just when the ladies from Love Island were squatting down in bikini. So I think that's not quite what we imagined as digital innovation. But yeah, look, this is like a journey of 9-12 months. So it's amazing to see it on the screen and see it as a brand, see it brought to life to start with. There's already some big numbers, which is, I think, evidence to the fact that we've been doing this for a while already. You know, as Ruth mentioned, we've got over 140 social channels that are live. Globally, we launched 22 this year, new ones. You know, a really successful example of that is Celebs Up Close. I think Nathan's in the audience, who runs and manages that channel. And that's really about archive footage of our amazing sort of history of chat shows. Piers Morgan there is performing exceptionally well. Pamela Anderson interview, unsurprisingly, is doing exceptionally well on that channel. So, you know, that's just sort of one example. I think if you move into the fast world, we've launched 6 new channel brands this year. Ninja Warrior being the most recent one, and that's a really good example of, that's not our IP. We partnered with Bellon, who are the IP owner, and TBS, who are the format owner. And you know, we've done something that works really well. You know, ITV was the commissioner of that show in the UK, and we run the parks for them around the UK. So look, we've done a lot already, is the point, and we've created a platform, I think, from which, as Ruth's already mentioned, to launch Zoo55. It really lends itself to our incredible portfolio of content as well, and a lot of that is super evergreen. You know, in terms of it's great TV. It was made for the TV, and as platforms like YouTube are moving their audience to the TV, you know, it's the sort of perfect match made in heaven, like the boat going to heaven on the previous presentation. So, you know, I was chatting earlier to Kai, who works in one of our labels, Boom, in Wales. So The Voice is a great example of that. They're filming the Welsh version of The Voice. Could you believe that? All in Welsh, which I'm super excited about, because great talent and great performances just work in this space, and we've seen that with The Voice. You know, whether it's the best 5 Despacito covers globally, which is like nearly 100 million views on YouTube and still growing, or whether it's, you know, the Welsh audience and the Welsh people singing in Welsh, it doesn't matter. You know, it's that sort of content that we've got spades of, and we've got it across formats, and we've got it across our non-scripted portfolio as well.
And clearly you see YouTube as a massive opportunity going forward.
Absolutely, yeah. But I think it is, but it's not just YouTube, because we have to think about, you know, both the monetisation element, of course. We've got, you know, some really big ambitions with regards to that, and then, you know, but it's all linked to viewing ultimately. You know, the two things, you know, work in harmony. And so we've seen, particularly that different platforms, deliver different audiences and for different types of content. You take something like the Graham Norton show, we've got a huge audience on Meta, on Facebook, which is, compared to some of our YouTube channels, that's quite different in terms of scale, and equally on TikTok. And we've got a couple of good examples of content that's worked recently there. You've got a clip that's 9 years old. It's a clip of, I'm going to do this massive disservice, but it's George Clooney essentially taking the mickey out of Brad Pitt. He, excuse my language, he put a bumper sticker saying "fuck the cops" on the back of his car, and tells this great story, which I'm not going to try and do. But that was a clip that was posted originally 9 years ago. We've put it in vertical format. We've put it onto Facebook, and it's delivered nearly 13 million views in the last few weeks.
Wow.
And you've got the opposite of that on TikTok, a clip that's in, I think, 7 million views already. It's more recent. It's from the current season of the show. A bit more touch felt and heartfelt. It's Selena Gomez is sort of made to cry by Miranda Hart. They're sharing their sort of, they both have sort of chronic health issues, and they're sort of sharing a bit of a mutual love in there. And that's, delivered great levels of viewing on TikTok. So just it sort of amplifies the fact that we see different platforms, different audiences, different types of content, and that goes from short to long form, and we've seen some incredible results with super long form, like 4 hours of in particular a show called The Extraordinary Scottish Highlands, and it's beautiful. It's 4K. It's the Scottish Highlands in its glory. Julia Bradbury presented it originally many years ago, and that's at 8 million views on YouTube. Delivering big numbers for us. So you've got sort of real opposite ends of the scale there with regards to different types of.
So it's a huge opportunity, because the depth of your catalogue is like, must be getting in and mining that catalogue and bringing it to life again must be an exciting prospect.
It's super exciting. It's almost like, where do you start? But I think to Bruce's point, we have a lot of insight already through what we've been doing. Like, I'm a former research sort of analyst person, so data is, and don't judge me, it's really exciting for me to have access to that data. Through putting more of our content onto these platforms, you get that sort of feedback loop of okay, what's working well here versus here versus here. How do you feed that into Zoo55, but not just Zoo55? It's not, we have a bigger studios business, we have a distribution business. So how do you use that information to inform production, inform our distribution business, where this business will ultimately sit?
Yeah. So at the time of the announcement a couple of weeks ago, you mentioned that Metavision, which is already an ITV Studios business, will move across to the Zoo55 banner. What does that mean?
So I think it means more holistically. I think with Zoo55, we've got the opportunity now to slightly evolve what we've been doing. So we've been looking primarily at video. I think we want to, also look at other mediums, potentially audio. We've done some sort of experimentation there, but then obviously gaming is a place where we've done a lot of licensing of our IP. That Love Island game, for example, but we haven't done anything sort of owned and operated. But we have Metavision within the ITV broader business, who are doing sort of, they've got a great reputation. They've worked with brands like Netflix and WWF and Versace to create immersive gaming experiences across platforms like Roblox and Fortnite. So when we were sort of developing this, it felt like it was an obvious fit. It gave us a sort of another sort of wheel on our car. So that's a terrible analogy, but you know what I mean. So it fits. It allows us, and then we're already starting to work with them. To look at how we create these types of experiences on these platforms who have different audiences, and then interplay these things. So if we're looking at a Hell's Kitchen experience on Roblox, how does that interplay with our Hell's Kitchen social channels and our Hell's Kitchen fast channels, and vice versa, and sort of complete that 360 picture. So it just sort of fits. And then from a talent point of view, they're different people in terms of their skills and abilities. I can't sit and create a game in Roblox. My daughter can sit there and play that, on Roblox.
But this is building out the universes, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
And
universe
there's
and
some
talent and
yeah.
all of those things together. Yeah, and making them. I think the important thing is how do you make them sort of talk to each other as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess one question that many people in the audience would be asking is, are you going to create your own content, original content, right, for digital first?
Yes. I think you're the fourth, fifth, sixth person to ask me that today, I think.
Yeah,
but no, absolutely right question. And I think that the ultimate answer is our immediate focus is on getting our arms around the 90,000 hours of content. How do we take what we've got? How do we exploit it in the most effective manner on all of these platforms, right from TikTok through to a fast channel on Samsung? So that's our immediate priority. Also, how do we then integrate Monetisation and sort of build out Studio 55 as the home of all things digital within ITV. So we've created original content already, though. To be fair, we have created sort of shoulder content around the voice. So we have a show called Voice Wrap, Voice Backstage, which has been created in partnership with broadcaster brands as well. And a really a good way to get that IP into the audience in different formats and across different territories. And we've done a collaboration with the Sidemen recently around The Chase, which is a huge global game show. So we sort of gave them relative freedom to overlay their interpretation of what The Chase is to them as a bunch of really talented creators. So that was super exciting. It really allowed us to engage a different audience to that show. But I think to go back to your original question, probably the best way to describe it is that we're focused on Zoo55 as a place to evolve our existing content. It's not yet a sort of place for content creation, but in the future, that's certainly something that we're giving great thought to.
Yeah. Okay. So, and I know you're taking part in the Buyers Lounge.
Yes.
So thank you for being part of that. And again, many people in the audience might be wondering how they can partner with you. If you're not looking to commission original content at the moment, what are the opportunities to work with Zoo55?
So yeah, I think, as I said, it's focus on what we've been doing more of it, and being quite opportunistic though. So we're absolutely open to all types of conversations, but they I guess need to fit into what we're doing in terms of our existing IP or existing portfolio of channels. I think immediately there's probably two areas. One is with brands. So like those two examples of the voice and the voice wrap and backstage, they were done in conjunction with brands. I think we've got a lot of great IP and brands in themselves. So how can they work harmoniously with other sort of non-TV brands? And how can we partner with brands in respect of our existing portfolio of channels? So again, quite opportunistic there, I think, but there's lots of ways to collaborate, which we're starting to give thought to. And then the second piece is content, and that might sound a bit weird sitting here with 90,000 hours of content, but again, it's about the right partnerships there. So we've got 90,000 hours of content, and there's some absolute gems in there. It's an incredible sort of archive to lean on. But the example I mentioned earlier of partnering with Bellon on Ninja Warrior, that's not our IP, but it really fits into ITV and Zoo55 and what we're trying to do. ITV was, as I said, the commissioner in the UK of that show. We run the parks, and why wouldn't we want to run a fast channel and perhaps broader things for them on their behalf? So if there's opportunities like that, or there are opportunities with content that doesn't sit in those 90,000 hours, because there will be content that we don't have, and we think that's the right place and the right fit for Zoo55, then absolutely very open to having those conversations.
Okay, all right. Well, and you're going to be with us for the rest of the day, aren't you, up in the
absolutely, yeah.
in the Buyers Lounge? So make sure you go and meet Graham there. So finally, Ruth, coming back to you. So you've obviously got some of the biggest entertainment brands in the world under the ITV Studios label. Which bit of your portfolio are you most excited to see what you can do with Zoo55?
Yeah, good question, because there is a big bag of riches there. But I think one of the areas that, and those of you who know me will know that I have an enormous passion for sport, so I can't help but lean myself that way. And I think we've got an enormous sports archive. We obviously work very closely with ITV Sport, and I think there is an area to explore there that we haven't done yet. So I think that's something that we will start to lift the lid on, and are already starting to think about. As a huge fan base, a huge audience base for sport, and we've got a lot of content and access to content that we haven't really thought about yet. So I think we are we're very excited to think what that could be for us over the next sort of 12, 24 months.
All right. Fantastic. Well, listen, thank you, Graham and Ruth, for sharing a little bit, giving us a little peek under the hood of Zoo55. And please give them a round of applause.